The vast majority of them law-abiding citizens. But from time to time, they may come into contact with police officers, either as witnesses, victims, or alleged offenders. And neither the interests of justice or autistic people themselves are served, and there is no real understanding of their difficulties by officers. Daniel Smith is a 25-year-old autistic man who ran to a local police station for refuge after being beaten up in what was essentially a hate crime while chatting to some strangers in a park. He expected to find safety, but instead he found himself handcuffed, locked up for many hours, and charged with 2 assault charges, despite telling the police officers he was autistic. A terrifying and distressing ordeal, during which he was refused contact either with his family, an appropriate adult, or a medic, as he should have been. It took a further and anxious 6 months before his case came to court. Thankfully, he was acquitted of all charges. However, he was badly let down and is now, not surprisingly, frightened of the police. The National Autistic Society tells me that a recent survey showed that just 37% of police officers said they had any autism training, but 92% say they would find it useful. And while there are training duties for health and social care professions, and the government has just consulted on a new mandatory training programme, the same is not true for our police forces. An untrained police officer is unlikely to understand the problems which many autistic people face, and unable to imagine what it might be like for someone like Daniel Smith to be questioned or accused or arrested. Unable to grasp the autistic person's difficulties because of social communication, problems with interpreting words, gestures, and tone of voice. Often autistic people will not understand facial expressions, gestures, or tone of voice, and they may interpret words quite literally. They often might just agree with what was being said to them, wrongly admitting guilt. Unable to grasp their difficulties with social interaction, autistic people find it difficult to read other people or recognise or understand their feelings and intentions, as they may also often find it difficult to express their own emotions. They find engagement with society seriously challenging. They may appear to be insensitive, behave in socially inappropriate ways, and generally appear odd in the way they react. They might look guilty. Or difficulties related to changes to daily rules and routines. Autistic people may find comfort in daily routines and rules which can be safely followed in a world which they perceive as confusing and unpredictable. They may struggle with changes to their routines. And difficulties such as intensity or even obsessive interest in a particular subject or topic, which can become all important to them and might sometimes put them in conflict with the law. And all important difficulties relating to sensory sensitivity. Autistic people can often be over or under-sensitive to sounds, touch, tastes, smells, light, colours, temperatures or pain. A busy, crowded room may become unbearable, for example, and unexpected noises can cause extreme anxiety or even physical pain. This can result in challenging behaviour or meltdown, an intense response when overwhelmed, resulting in a temporary loss of control, very relevant to conditions in a police station. All of these common characteristics of autistic people can combine to make them victims of crime, unwitting or unknowing offenders, or unreliable witnesses. Contact with the police will often come at a time of heightened anxiety, stressful for all of us, but amounting to a crisis for someone on the autism spectrum. It is now 10 years since the passing of the Autism Act, which requires the autism strategy to exist. Although some progress has been made, many of our services still do not understand autism well enough, and this includes the police. Some police forces have acknowledged this need, and some training takes place in some forces, but much more needs to be done. We believe that mandatory training would have many benefits for autistic people, their families, and for police officers themselves. If an autistic person is a victim of crime or a witness, they will be better understood and supported to explain what has happened to them and assist people with their inquiries. If an autistic person is suspected of committing crime, they can be questioned in a way that means they can understand what is happening and which will not cause them more anxiety. If an autistic person is being arrested, a police officer may be able to better prepare them and avoid dangerous and traumatic physical restraint. Reasonable adjustments, for example, a single cell, perhaps in a quieter part of a custody suite, could be arranged in a police station to help prevent an autistic person from becoming overwhelmed with the sensory environment. Police will feel more confident in their abilities to support autistic people in their communities, who after all make up 1 in every 100 people. Autistic people will have greater confidence that they and their needs will be understood, and this may lead to being more willing to come forward to assist police or report crimes. And perhaps most important of all, inappropriate prosecutions leading to incarceration might be avoided if autism was better understood and recognised in the custody suite. Being arrested can be a sign of an autistic person in crisis, whose needs are not being met. We already have far too many autistic people in prison, some of them not yet diagnosed and will only be diagnosed in very few of our prisons. How much better if more cases are dealt with by police referral to liaison and diversion schemes now developing, where an offender can be supported to understand their offence and helped not to repeat the offending behaviour. Far better for everyone than a prison sentence in some, if not all, cases. The bill will therefore oblige the government to create an autism understanding standard for police officers, to outline what good autism training looks like and the expectations on officers. Based on that standard, it will require the national policing curriculum in England and Wales, which currently requires training to protect vulnerable people, including people with mental health problems, to include autism. This will ensure that new police officers have the training they need. The bill will require each police force to create an autism understanding, continuing professional development programme based on the standard. Establishing this will have a cost, and there will be a cost of releasing officers to attend training. Government should establish a funding scheme for this. As the Autism Act comes up to its 10-year review, it is high time that the police service is required to make autism awareness training mandatory, and I beg leave to bring in the bill.
The question is that the Right Honourable Member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Tonia Antonazzi, Kevin Brennan, Dr David Drew, Dame Cheryl Gillan, Susan Ellen Jones, Jeremy Lefroy, Ian Murray, Sir Mike Penning, Jim Shannon, Nick Smith, Tom Tugendhart, and myself, Mrs. Speaker.
Yeah.
We'll make it.
Mark.
He's never normally that quick.
And Clwyd.
Police Officer Training Autism Awareness Bill.
Second reading what day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you. Order. We now come to the Opposition Day motion in the name of the Leader of the Opposition on Environment and Climate Change.